Good day everyone, and we are from the group 3, and today we will discuss the module 10, the site of the first mass in the Philippines, and module 11, the two phases of Cavite Mutiny. On March 31, 1521, the first Catholic Mass in the Philippines, which was Eastern Sunday celebrations in the island called Masawa, according to the Journal of Pigafetta. Raha Calambo of Malimasawa and Raha Siago of Butuan were indeed the true proponent chieftain who witnessed the historic first mass who officiated by Father Pedro Valderrama. Ferdinand Magellan instructed the comrades to plant the large wooden cross on the top of hill after the first Catholic Mass in the Philippines. The island of Masawa, which is referred to the journal Pigafetta, is the controversy of the first mass where happened. Limasawa in southern Leyte, Butuan in Masao, located at Agusan River in Mindanao.
Butuan City in Agusan del Norte is the site of First Mass based on historical traditions and certain interpretations of early Spanish accounts. Gregorio Zaide, a Filipino historian, author, and politician from the town of Pagsanhan, Laguna in the Philippines. He claims that the location of the first Mass is in Butuan based on Pigafettas. Francisco Albo's logbook, another account navigator from the expedition, noted a location resembling Butuan but not directly confirms it as the Mass site. The evidence Albo's logbook, Legazpi's expedition, and document found about the landing of Magellan's fleet in Homonhon. 17th century Jesuit documents and maps contributed to the claim that the first Catholic Mass in the Philippines was held in Butuan. Evidence of Masao, Butuan. Pigafetta's account, Pigafetta's journal, mentions the abundance of gold and gold mines, balangay relics, and stilt houses. In 1953, the people in Butuan asked the Philippines.
Masawa Island, located in southern Leyte, is officially recognized as a site of the first Catholic Mass in the Philippines. On March 31, 1521, Francisco Albo's logbook, one of the pilot in the voyage of Magellan. On June 19, 1960, the Philippines Congress enacted a Bill of Republic Act number 2733, declaring Limasawa as a place where Magellan celebrated the first recorded Mass in the Philippines on Easter Sunday, March 31, 1521. The National Historical Commission of the Philippines, NHCP, officially declared Limasawa as a site of the first Mass. Pigafetta's account, titled Primo Vigio Interno al Mundo, First Voyage Around the World. Let me say it again. Primo Viaggio Interno al Mundo, First Voyage Around the World.
Pigafetta's testimony regarding the route. March 16, 1521, Saturday, Magellan's expedition sighted the highland named Zama, about 300 leagues west of Landones Island and now the Marianas Island. March 17, 1521, Sunday, they landed on an uninhabited island called Humumu, or Homonhon. The same day, Magellan named the entire archipelago the island of St. Lazarus, in reference to the Gospel of John. March 18, 1521, Monday. On the second day, in Homonhon, they saw a boat with 9 men. Gifts were exchanged and a promise was made to return in 4 days with supplies. They discovered 2 springs of water on Homonhon Island and signs of gold. He renamed Watering Place of Good Men, or Aquada de Digoini Similia. March 22, 1521, Friday, at noon, the natives returned with food and supplies. On 1521, Monday, the expedition left Homonhon Island. Pigafetta accidentally fell into the water but was rescued. After leaving Homonhon, the expedition sailed west-southwest, passing between 4 islands, Sinalo, Hinungalian, Luzon, and Abarian. March 28, 1521, Thursday, the expedition reached an island located at degrees and 2/3 latitude north and 162 degrees longitude from the line of the demarcation, 25 leagues from Aguada, where they stayed for 7 days. April 4, 1521, Thursday, the expedition left Mazua, bound for Cebu. Passing through 5 islands, Ceylon, Bohol, Canighan, Baybay, and Katigan. At Katigan, they sailed northward through the Camotes groups, passing Poro, Pasihan, and Ponson. From Camotes Island, they sailed southwest towards Cebu, or what we call Cebu. April 7, 1521, Sunday, the expedition entered the harbor of Cebu, or now what we call Cebu. Miguel Lopez de Legazpi, born in Zumaraga, Basque Country in 1503, died in Manila, Philippines on August 20, 1572. Was an admiral and governor known as El Adilano, the Elderly. He was the governor for the Captaincy General of the Philippines and is credited with founding the cities of Cebu in 1565 and in Manila in 1571. Legazpi Expedition. In 1564, at 62, Miguel Lopez de Legazpi was appointed by the Spanish crown to lead an expedition to the Philippines aiming to establish Spanish influence and find a trade route to the Spice Island. He sailed from Nueva España and arrived in the Philippines on February 13, 1565, 44 years after Magellan. Legazpi successfully colonized the Philippines, founding Cebu and building alliances with local leaders. He conquered Manila in 1570 and passed away on August 20, 1572, at around 70 years old, leaving a lasting Spanish presence in the Philippines.
Conclusions. So, the first Mass in the Philippines, a symbolic and historical turning point that introduced Christianity and laid the foundation of the Spanish rule in the Philippines. So, the geographic descriptions and historical account that recognitions by the National Historical Commissions at the Philippines are point at Limasaua as the most like site.
The two phases of the 1872 Cavite Mutiny. In the 1872, the Cavite Mutiny was a brief but significant uprising of Filipino soldiers and laborers against the Spanish colonial government at the Fort San Felipe in Cavite, Philippines. In the 1872, the two major events happened. The first was the 1872 Cavite Mutiny, and the other was the martyrdom of the 3 martyr priests in the person of Father Mariano Gomez, Jose Borges, and Jacinto Zamora.
Cavite Mutiny Perspective. Jose Montero y Vidal was a Spanish historian, writer, and colonist official best known for his works on the history of the Philippines during the Spanish colonial period. His most notable work is Historia General de Filipinas, or the General History of the Philippines, which provides a detailed account of the Spanish conquest and rule of the archipelago. Governor General Rafael Izquierdo was a Spanish military officer and colonial administrator who served as the Governor General of the Philippines from 1871 to 1873. He is perhaps most notably remembered for his harsh repression of the Filipino population during his tenure. Spanish perspective. The Spanish portrayed the mutiny as a large-scale conspiracy against the colonial government, supposedly incited by Filipino reformists and foreign influences. The Spanish colonial government as a dangerous revolt and a significant threat to their control over the Philippines. The Spanish perspective on the mutiny, heavily influenced by Governor General Rafael Izquierdo and other colonial officials, framed the event as a part of a larger, well-organized conspiracy aimed at overthrowing Spanish rule in the archipelago. Filipino perspective. Many Filipinos view the mutiny as an early expression of the resistance against Spanish oppression. It exposed the systemic injustice in Spanish regime and marked the beginning of nationalism. A react to oppressive policies. A mischaracterized event. The martyrdom of Gomborza. And lastly, the legacy.
Long-term impacts. Rise of Filipino nationalism, the execution of Gomborza became a rally cry for the growing nationalist movement. Their martyrdom inspired the future Filipino leaders, including Jose Rizal, who dedicates his novel El Filibusterismo to their memory. Formation of propaganda movement in the decades following the immunity, Filipino intellectuals and reformists such as Rizal, Marcelo H. del Pilar, and Garciano Lopez Haina organized a propaganda movement to push the quality, representation, and secularization for the clergy. They used the memory of Gomborza to unify Filipinos against the Spanish abuses. Inspiration for the Philippine Revolution 1896, the Cavite Mutiny. Its aftermath planted the seed for revolutionary spirit. By the late 19th century, the Philippines revolutionary groups such as the Katipunan emerged directly challenging Spanish rules and igniting the Philippine Revolution. Shift to Filipino identity. The event helped foster a collective Filipino identity among the educated class, like ilustrados, and other sectors of society. This sense of unity became critical in the later struggle of independence. So the 1872 Gomborza execution sparked the Filipino nationalism, inspiring leaders like Jose Rizal and movements like Propaganda and Katipunan to unite the Filipinos and ignite the light of independence.
The influence of the 1872 Cavite Mutiny of subsequent revolutionary activities and movements in the Philippines. First is martyrdom of Gomborza and the growth of nationalism. Second, transition from reformism to revolutionary ideals. Third is the emergencies of the Philippines revolutions. Fourth is the role of Filipino intellectuals and reformists. Fifth is the brutal Spanish repression and the growth of revolutionary spirit. Sixth is international attention to the Filipino struggles
and actions toward nationalism. Filipino intellectual and reformist. Rise of nationalism and propaganda movement, the execution of Gomborza, Fathers Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, Jacinto Zono, clergy. Inspirations for secularizations. The execution of Gomborza became a rallying point for Filipino clergy fighting for secularizations and greater rights within the church. Mora. Third, cultural and political mobilization for legacy and long-term impact. So, it is contributed to the eventual downfall of Spanish colonialism in the Philippines and paved the way for the establishment of the first Philippines Republic in 1899. Dr. Trinidad Herminihildo pardoned D. Tavera. A response to injustice, the Filipino version of the incident. Born on April 13, 1857 in Manila, and he was a prominent Filipino physician, historian, linguist, politicians, and reformist during the Spanish and American colonial periods in the Philippines. Historical context: resistance rooted in struggles against colonizations and oppressions. Example, Spanish rules, American colonizations, and the People Power Revolutions in 1986. Unity collective actions emphasize on solidarity and relying behind common causes, protests, activisms, and public outreach as key responses.
Unraveling the truth of the Cavite Mutiny. The Cavite Mutiny of 1872 was a significant event in the Philippine history, particularly in the context of the struggle for independence from Spanish colonial rule. The incident involved a brief but impactful uprising by Filipino soldiers and workers at the Cavite Arsenal, which ultimately played a role in the growing discontent that fueled the Philippine Revolution. However, the truth surrounding the mutiny has been clouded by political narratives, misinformation, and manipulation. Here, we seek to explore the facts and events that shaped this pivotal moment in history. Of Filipinos, forced labor, unfair treatment, discriminatory policies, social stratification, unequal, economic inequality.
Conclusions. In 1872, the Cavite Mutiny was critical event in the history of the Philippines, as it served as the catalyst for the larger revolutionary movement that ultimately led to the country's independence. The legacy of Cavite Mutiny continues to inspire the revolutionary movements in the Philippines and ultimately contribute to the nation's fight for the freedoms from the Spanish rule.